So in this lesson, what you learn is how to come up with the inequalities or computing inequalities. When we say computing, we mean coming up with something out there. Coming up with something from the information which is given in our graph here. So we have the x, we have the x, y plane, the y-axis and the x-axis. And if you have seen here, on the x-axis, there are no numbers. Even in the y-axis, there are no numbers. But everywhere where this line is cutting the axis, there is a number. So this number is there to guide you. These numbers are there to guide you. Then inside here, we have this number -3 and 4 for instance. We have 1, 2.5 for instance. Then -3, 1. What are these numbers for? These numbers are the second coordinates that we can use to find the gradient. So where this line and this line intersect at this point, you will find this number. So this number there, it means that the intersection here, the x-axis is -3 and the y-axis is 4. But there it is not indicated. How to get? In this now at this position, we have this line and this line, and here they intersect. Then you have a number -3, 1. What it means is that at this point where this line and this line intersect, the x-axis is -3 and the y-axis is 1. So those numbers are not shown here, but they will be shown in coordinate forms. Even here, we have a 1, which is the x-axis, and a 2.5, which is the y-axis, somewhere there. So this is the meaning of these coordinates that you are seeing. Then, where the lines intersect the axis, we have given points. Then, what you should know is that at this point, since it is the y-axis, the x there is 0. The y-axis, the x is 0. When we are in the x-axis, the y is 0. So those are the things that you take note of. Now, to write down the inequalities, we need to understand the statement. Here it is saying the diagram below shows the unshaded region. When they say unshaded, they mean we have a line, one part we have these lines. So when you have these lines, it means that this side it is shaded. Then the other side is not shaded. So this is the meaning of the word unshaded. Then a region is just more like a place or the area. So we have this line just cutting the x-axis at -3, and the side shaded is this side. Then we have the other side not shaded. Again, we have this line above here is not shaded, but below there it is shaded. This one, the above is shaded, below is not shaded. The question says, write down the 3 inequalities that satisfies the conditions. The conditions, the same graph and the part which is not shaded. Okay? So now I'll just give you a simple way. When you write the inequalities, we know that we use these symbols. This. So, for you not to waste your time, just look at the part which is not shaded. The part not shaded is less than. So the symbol you're using is less than. If the part used is not shaded is greater than, the symbol you're using is greater than. Then pay much attention on these lines that cut the x-axis and the y-axis at one point. This line, we have the right and the left. If the part not shaded is the right simply means red. How to get? If the part not shaded is the left, the symbol taken is the less. But don't just cut the symbols anyhow. We need to observe the kind of a line that is being used. If the line is cutting the y-axis, observe the part not shaded. The part not shaded is below, and below simply means less. So that's the only symbol that you use. This will not waste your time in the exam. So we start. So to make life easy, I'll name this one as the B, I'll name this one as C, and this one as the A. I'm naming this one as A because it is the simplest. So on this one, we'll say for A, the first step is to look at the line where it is cutting. The line is cutting the x-axis at number -3. So there we say x is equals to -3. This is the first step. Then second, which side is not shaded? The side not shaded is the right. And since it's the right side, we use the symbol greater than. And the line itself is dotted. So the symbol used is a one-way round. So simply saying x is greater than -3. Then you end there. So now next we move on to line B. Line B, it is this line. So when you look at this line, the line is cutting the y-axis, but it does not cut the x-axis. And for us to come up with the answer, we need 2 coordinates on such lines. So the first point you look at is where this line is cutting the other one. Just find anywhere where you can find the help. So on this line, we have the first help. It's at this point. So here it is -3,4. So what you do, you get my coordinates -3,4. Then second, where is the second point? Look at this one. Where this line is intersecting with this line at this point, the point is 1,2.5. Now, dealing with the point numbers, it might give us a challenge. So what you do, go where this line is cutting the y-axis. And the line is cutting the y-axis at 3. So at this point, x is 0. So the coordinates that we use there, 0,3. So these are the 2 coordinates that will now help us. So first step is done. Second step is to come up with the gradient. And the gradient, the formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this is the formula for finding gradient. So now, in our formula, we have y2 and y1, x2 and x1. So from these coordinates, we have to choose which part must represent the 2's or the 1's. You can choose m. So if I pick these coordinates to represent position 1, this one will represent position 2. All together? If I pick this one to represent position 2, this one will represent position 1. So now what I do there is to say the first number is x, second is y. First x, second y. So here it is 1, 1, here 2 and 2. When I come to my formula here, I'll just substitute. Where there is y2, I'll go where it is 2, and under y2 I have a 3. So a 3 comes there. After writing a 3, I write minus. Then now I go for y1. y1, I come here, then under the y, I have a 4. So here, it's a 4. Over for x2, I'll go where there is 2. Under x, I have a 0. So I put a 0 here. Then minus. For x1, I do the same thing here. So I'll go under x1, then I'll get -3. Now, since here I have a negative, and the number there I'm picking has a negative. So what we do is to introduce the brackets and put the -3 inside. So next thing, m is equals to, there, subtract 3 minus 4, -1, over, here is a 0, so don't count it. What we count is negative and negative. So the answer will be 3. So we have a number which is a numerator with a negative, denominator positive. So what we do is to write m equals, then write a negative, then 1 over 3. And this is our gradient. Next step is now to find the equation. The equation, we use the formula y equals so y equals mx minus mx1 plus y1. Simplify the formula. The formula is simplified. Now from this formula, we have this y and this x. These two letters have no numbers. So in the equation, they have to be there. For m, we substitute with our answer there. Then, whether the x1 and y1, we pick any of these two coordinates. So if I pick this part to my x1 and y1, I will use this 3 and the 4. If I pick this one, then my x will be 0, my y is 3. But remember what I said last time. I said where there is the x there, if you don't want trouble, take x as 0. So you find where there is the x as 0. Here x is -3, here x is 0. So you take this part, leave this part, and unless if there is no x which has a 0, then you can take any of them, right? So using 0, 3 from these two. What you do next? Substituting. So we have y equals, where there is m, we substitute. Now to 1 over 3, then we have s. So So this part is done. What we do now is to wait on this part. So here, the first thing we have is a negative. A negative, you write. And now substitute the value for m. And value for m, the same number, negative 1 over 3. In brackets, negative 1 over 3, and close. Substitute x, we pick 0. So it will be open bracket 0 close. Then plus for y, we pick 3. After that, you now solve. So we have y equals negative 1 over 3 x. The negative and negative is positive. But the whole of this terms is 0, 0. So in short, we don't do anything here. Leave it. What we add is a plus 3. And there we have our equation. Then now from there, we now come to form an inequality. Forming an inequality, you simply write y, then look at the part which is not shaded. The part not shaded here is less. So use the symbol less than or equal to, then that is 1 over 3 x plus 3, and you end there. This is the answer. So we have the last part, C. A C is this line. So like I said, just check where you can get coordinates so easy. This line is intersecting with this line at this point. And the coordinates here is negative 3, 1. So our first coordinates, negative 3, 1. Our second coordinate, you can either get those, these two, or you pick from the y-axis. So if you are picking there, we will say y is 2, but x is 0. So it will be 0, 2. After getting the coordinates, second stage is to come up with the gradient. Gradient is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You now see the same process. Second stage now here is to decide which one shall represent my ones or my 2. So I will try to change. I'll take this one as 2. I'll take this one as 1. So on top here I'll write x2, y2, x1, y1. Now getting those values and substitute them in the formula. So we have m equals where there is y2, we come under 2 there. Under x we have a 1, right? Then minus y1 will come under y there, and under on y under 1 we have 2. So here this is what we're going to have. Then over for x2 we come back on 2, we pick negative 3. Then minus for x1 we have a 0, right? What to do next is to solve. 1 minus 2, we get negative 1 over when we subtract here, of course a 0 is not counted, what we have here is just the 3. Now check, you have a negative, the negative. So a negative and a negative, same sign, they will turn into positive. So our gradient is 1/3. Next stage, forming an equation. So y equals the mx minus the mx1 plus the y1. Now we pick any of these two. Just go direct on this one, right? I've already explained it. So I'll pick this one because the x is 0. So I'm going to use 0, 2. So y will be equals to, for m is 1/3, 1/3 x. Then negative, for m again is 1/3. Then for x we put 0. Then plus for y we pick 2. In that order. Next is y equals 1/3x and 0 multiplied by everything goes. What remains with is positive 2. So this is our equation. This is our equation. What we do next is to write the inequality. Write the inequality. Look at the line and the area which is not shaded. The area not shaded here is above. So what we do is to use the symbol called the greater than. The line is bold. So the symbol of the two-way, the 1/3x plus 2 and the end there.